Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unravel and Uplift. It's another Wednesday. Thank you for joining us. Here to Unravel and Uplift, we do just that. If you're new to us, we unravel a topic every week, and then we give you some information along the way. And at the end, we uplift it so you have a path forward or maybe some next steps that encourage you in growth, wellness, whatever our topic may be. So this week, we're revisiting a conversation that we had a couple of weeks ago about tough conversations and why women in general struggle in this area, why we're told to play nice, and sort of all of the aspects and noise about women having conversations. Well, based on your feedback and some comments that we received, we wanted to take conversations a little bit more in depth because people are curious to hear a little bit more and learn some skills that make conversations easier. So we're going to talk about difficult conversations today. So I'm going to take you down a path. We're going to take you down a path. We're going to unravel a situation where, have you ever replayed a conversation in your head like 100 times only to actually never have it? Yeah, same. So maybe if it's asking for a promotion, that can be scary. It's telling a friend that they hurt your feelings, talking to your partner about something that's been bothering you for months, having that difficult feedback at work and then responding to that. Setting a boundary with someone that you love. And most of us don't avoid difficult conversations because we don't care. We avoid them because we care too much.
I've actually gone one step further.
Okay.
I've actually Googled or ChatGPT'd the conversation that's been in my head.
Yeah, that's a wonderful idea. Chat or Google can be a wonderful thought partner to put something in and discuss how that conversation would go as a pregame strategy. So I think that's a good idea.
I also think it takes the emotion out of it.
Yes.
And I think half the time that is part of our self-talk battle is because it's laden with emotions depending on how we feel about someone or how we feel about the outcome of the conversation.
For sure.
And I think, how AI has a place. And I think this is one of the places where it can really help. It's also convinced me to send the text or, do the thing.
Or craft it in the right wording. You know, I find myself writing something and then say, hey, make this nicer.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't be such a bitch.
Yeah. Or be more direct.
Right. Be more professional.
Yes. Yeah. It can be so helpful for that because we just hear that self-talk and then we get stuck in it.
Yes.
So
we're already giving you solid paths forward. We're not even 2 minutes into this conversation. We are giving you good advice.
I think part of it is that talking about those emotions, we worry that we're going to hurt someone's feelings, damage that relationship, say the wrong thing, or discover something we'd rather not know. Because let's face it, when you start a conversation, someone else can say something back.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're not ready to hear it.
Yeah.
So instead, we stay quiet, we overthink, we rehearse. We vent to everyone except the person we actually need to talk to. And today we're unraveling why difficult conversations can feel so uncomfortable and how learning to have them might well be one of the most important life skills we can actually develop. And we can use our AI to help us with this.
Yeah. So why do we avoid these conversations? What is a conversation that you've been postponing? So, and why do we fear it? Is it the rejection? Is it the conflict? Is it disappointing someone? Maybe not being liked? Is it the uncertainty?
All of the above?
Yeah, all of the above.
Plus more.
Yeah. So one of our favorite reminders comes from Brene Brown. She has a quote that says, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. So she explains that many of us avoid clarity of the conversation because we think that being kind is an avoidance of having honest conversation. And it often creates confusion, resentment, gossip, and broken trust.
It's so interesting because if I think about how, and this is going back in reminiscing and, maybe I've got rose tinted glasses on, but I think the way that I communicated with my girlfriends when I was younger is very different than how I see my daughter communicating with her girlfriends right now.
Okay.
I feel that they are kind, but they are clear.
Yeah.
There's almost like a confidence in that clarity that I think maybe it's a generational difference.
Okay.
Maybe we as parents have been very aware of this because of how we used to have to apologize for everything, or we had to pussyfoot around things in a delicate way.
Or girl stereotypes.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a big difference in that. I've heard us sometimes having conversations and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
because I'm holding on to that emotion that I would attach to it.
Yes.
That, oh my goodness, like if I said that to someone, they'd like keel over,
Yeah.
like it's rude, it's unkind. But I think it's a different generational approach.
And I also wonder, taking that a step further, is our children's conversations are very one-sided because everything is being done through Snap, or they don't even text. It's through these other portals where they're having conversations where they say what they want to say in an exchange, and then the other person says it back.
Yeah.
So there must be a little bit less, and they don't know what they don't know, but there must be a little bit less fear because they type it, they send it, and then they wait for a response. Whereas if you and I are having a conversation that's sensitive, I can see your body language. We're in the moment together. I can, sense your tone. Where if it's just script on your phone, that takes some of the emotion. It's easy to just say, nope, I don't want to do that. Or that isn't for me. So that's interesting too, because communication has so much change from when we were growing up, or even younger. Even when, rewind 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
I think it feeds into that, doesn't it? That we learn how to communicate, not necessarily positively.
Right.
We learned how we had to behave, what we needed to do, how we needed to show up to conform to society and what was expected of us as women. And maybe the younger generations aren't doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess to the audience, have you ever avoided telling someone something because you only thought it was going to get worse?
Yeah. Okay, so let's dig into this a little bit more. Okay, what makes a conversation difficult? So there's a book out there called Crucial Conversations, and they define a crucial conversation as one where the stakes are high, opinions vary, and emotions run strong. Right, your perfect storm. Right. So let's think about marriages, teenagers, your boss, your coworker, parents, anything around money, friendships that you value, healthcare, anything where there's boundaries. Politics, the list can go on.
Right.
So before you say anything, this is what you need to ask yourself. What outcome do I actually want? What do I hope they feel when we're done? What part of this belongs to me? And what assumptions am I making? If we think about those questions, they think more about what you want as a result of the conversation, as opposed to the emotions that we are creating in our heads around those conversations.
It goes back to that pregame strategy. If you go into a conversation not thinking about the outcome that you want, you go in with maybe a thought out statement of, why do you treat me this way? Or you make me feel, which can instantly put the person on attack and raise the emotion. And then at the end, you're probably not going to walk away with the result that you wanted. So,
it just, what, I feel like it just adds a framework to something that helps remove that fear, that anxiety, that emotion to it, to actually really simply, what do I want to achieve from this? And how do I want the other person to feel? Where do I want this to go?
So we always say that we're not the experts, right?
We're not.
But we do a lot of research in preparing for these episodes, and we want to bring the receipts. We want to come to you guys with credible sources and resources that we're going to give you a taste of them based on a quote or an opinion or a perspective. But then, we welcome you guys to go pick up these books or read these articles or, get the podcast or the TED Talk and go deeper in depth if this is a conversation of interest to you. So when we were researching, there was an article written by Amy Edmondson, and it's regarding steps to boost your psychological safety in the workplace, which that sounds scary in itself, right? But we know that we all need it.
It's so important.
Right. So she reminds us that psychological safety isn't about avoiding difficult conversations. It's about creating an environment where people feel safe enough to speak honestly, ask questions, admit mistakes, and learn together.
I mean, this is so relevant. Psychological safety. I'm so glad it's given the space nowadays.
Yes.
I don't think it was called anything in the past. It was just that kind of awkward void.
Yes.
That if you had, say, a good manager who could acknowledge that it was important for people to be safe and feel safe in order to be able to share things, then great.
Yes.
If you didn't, then tough.
Yes.
You're going to have to ride it out. You're going
Yep.
to have to sit there. It's going to be difficult and awkward.
Yeah.
And I think it does allow that presence does allow the ability for someone to really open up.
Yes.
And relax.
Yeah.
And actually, when you open up and relax, you can then start to think about the clarity of what do I want to achieve? How do I want someone to feel? Whereas when you're all tense and you're carrying those emotional burdens, you can't do that, right?
Yeah. So, we love an acronym here at Unravel and Uplift. We use a lot of them, and we try to give you guys little nuggets that you guys can remember when you are trying to go through one of our strategies. So we develop one for you to help with some framework to have these conversations. So the word is say, S-A-Y. So take it away, Claire. Take it away.
Okay, so S stands for start with curiosity. And I'm a big advocate of this. I think being curious is one of the biggest skills you can have in life. So instead of you always, try saying, help me understand.
Yeah.
That really changes the playing field, right?
And it makes just the questions, you feel like you're attacked when you say, you always do this. You immediately tense up, but you can say, help me understand why you say it this way.
Yeah.
Because then that encourages a conversation where you're asking them to explain something.
Yeah.
So now, again, we are not the experts. I need to listen to practice what we preach here, because I can come in pretty hot with conversations. You guys know who you are that has been on the other side of that. I am sorry. So
it's just without judgment as well, right?
Yes.
Help me understand carries zero judgment.
Right. Yeah.
I think it makes a big difference.
Yeah. So A is acknowledge your feelings. So sometimes this can be tough, right? So Chris Voss, and he has a TED Talk, and it was called Never Split the Difference, calls this approach tactical empathy. So meaning that you don't have to agree. So you can go into the conversation knowing that we may decide to be on separate sides of this. But you do need to help someone feel heard. So simple phrases that you can use that will help with this is, it sounds like you're frustrated. It seems like this has been difficult. And just those phrases alone can help lower the pressure and create space for a more productive conversation.
Well, and I think it's one of those as well. If you don't acknowledge almost the elephant in the room, acknowledge those feelings exist, it's almost like that person doesn't feel seen.
Yeah.
So by acknowledging that it's there, even if it sounds like you're frustrated, or it sounds like you're having a difficult time with this, just acknowledges there's the presence of those emotions to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
And then why is your truth? So use things like I feel, I've noticed, instead of you never, you always. Like they're just so judgy, right?
Yes.
It's like
they're just sharp.
Yeah.
Sharp phrases.
Whereas the others are like I words. It's like I'm owning this. And you show your vulnerability.
Or you make me feel, which we hear that no one can make you feel that way. But when you attack someone like that, it's not a great way to start a conversation.
And that vulnerability, like I need. I would like. It just shows that you're human, vulnerable.
Yep. Take the edge off a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah. So going back on some conversation mistakes, that you do not want to try to sprinkle into your conversation are, please do not wait until you're furious. Like when you come in hot, it's probably not going to go well. We all know that. Don't try to backpedal and bring up 10 years of history. Like I'm guilty of that. I'm one that will keep track. And then one day resentment will kick in, and then I just blow the top off. And I'm like, and then in June of 19, whatever. And like, that's not good. Try not to interrupt, which is also a tough one. Don't assume intent. So don't assume how the conversations go or what they're going to say. Don't try to win, which is a tough one. Okay, don't try to win. I'm going to say it with a serious face. Do not try to win.
Becomes a battlefield.
Right. Yeah. Rehearse instead of listening. So think about your pre-game strategy. And then like Claire's good thought about a thought partner or using, AI as a tool, text someone that deserves that conversation too. Like it may be easier to do like we talked about with our children, or maybe you're using a thought partner to help you say, how can I say this so it comes across the right way, knowing that these are the emotions and feelings that could be out there.
I think that's in reverse as well, Jen, that if something deserves a conversation, don't text.
Right.
If it's something that is I suppose text is great for plans and tasks and all of those like organizing bits, right? And GIFs or GIFs or whatever they're called, and things like that, right?
Yeah.
But if something actually deserves a conversation, give that conversation the time.
Yeah.
Don't just...
Yeah, if it's important, if it's really that upsetting to you, or it's being a difficult conversation to have, in even a work situation, like have it in person. Yeah. So, yeah. So, so we think that one of the biggest fears that we all have is, what if I have the conversation and nothing changes? Then you have to ask yourself, like, was that worth it? Like, to put ourselves through that stress and thinking, what if they say no? What if they still don't understand? What if everybody still gets angry?
Yeah. And I think this is where so many of us get stuck, because we believe that the success of the conversation depends on the other person's response. But maybe it's not. Okay, maybe that success isn't measured by whether someone agrees with us or not. Maybe success is measured by the fact that we had the courage to say what needed to be said with kindness and respect. I work with people going through change a lot.
Yeah.
And change is rarely welcomed.
Yeah. It's
that's
scary.
one thing.
Change
that's one
scary.
thing I've learned, right?
Yeah.
Change is rarely welcomed. And I think sometimes people just need a minute. They need a minute for something to land.
Yep.
And they need to think on it.
Yeah.
So even if you have a conversation and someone's response isn't quite as you hoped or expected, you had that conversation. You said those things.
Yeah.
And maybe that person just needs a minute for it to land, for them to process it.
Yeah.
Especially
if they don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
Because you have to think that you have rehearsed this conversation already when you prepare for it.
Yeah.
And if the other party is not prepared, they need that moment to process, like you said.
I feel like in The Bachelorette and the Bachelor shows, you always hear that, I was so blindsided.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you were. However, we could all see it was coming.
Right.
You know what I mean? And but I suppose in that moment when, and obviously there's very creative editing as well on those shows. In that moment when they're living those emotions, they're putting so much hope on things, and they're really wanting the response or the outcome that they really desire. To then hear something completely different probably does make them feel very blindsided.
Yes. Yeah. When you're focused on something and have that tunnel vision, you can lose sight of everything else that's going on around you. So if your eye is on the prize to get that rose, I can see why all of a sudden you felt a little sabotaged.
And let's think about that, those difficult conversations, okay? If you are the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, you have numerous difficult conversations.
Yes.
And you have to pay great attention to how you communicate that message.
Yes.
Because how it's interpreted by the other person is incredibly important.
Because you have one chance on that.
Yeah.
You want that rose, right?
Cool. And if you going, I'm in an R-ing, you could leave someone thinking they're still in with a chance.
Yeah.
And it, so lots of importance there in like actually delivering your message.
Yes, life lessons from the
Bachelor and Bachelorette. Yeah.
Okay, we're bringing all the receipts.
That key expert resource.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So there are only 4 possible outcomes, okay, from you having a difficult conversation. The relationship gets stronger. Wow.
That would be a plus, right? Like it was worth it then.
Yeah. You finally understand each other, that trust grows and respect grows. And I can actually say I've experienced that. I was very nervous to bring something up with a really close friend of mine.
Yeah.
I sat in silence on it for a while. I verbalized it, and I feel like it has helped us grow stronger.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I had to be willing, though, to listen to the other stuff back. And it's not always easy to hear, but
right. Yeah. The second option would be the relationship changes, right? So you establish healthier boundaries, expectations become clear, and things won't maybe exactly be the same as they were before, but maybe they could get better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So far, 2 positives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The relationship ends. And sometimes that's the healthiest outcome. Not every relationship is meant to continue forever. Some conversations reveal truths we've been avoiding. And I am a strong believer in this, that there are points in your life where I think that there are friendships that are meant to exist in that moment in time. Yes. You don't have to feel anything negative or bad towards them. They just, that person was in your life for a reason, for that amount of time. Yes. And there's a gratitude for them being there.
Yep.
but actually there wasn't a long term,
Right.
and
Yeah.
but I think you have to be okay to be in peace with that.
Claire and I actually talked to someone today, and they said a phrase, and I don't know if you caught it, but she said something to the effect of, at this moment, we can all think that maybe our best experiences, our best relationships, those are still ahead of us. Like maybe we think that we're there because maybe because of your age or what we've gone through, but those could still be ahead of you, which I think is so magical. And we don't think about that. So we may be scared to tell the boss your frustrations, to tell your significant other that there's struggles, to tell your friend or a family member of how you are feeling about a situation. But there could be something beyond that. Even if that relationship dissolved or that career situation changed, sometimes when you push yourself off the ledge, there's something else there that is so much better, but you never would have realized it if you didn't have that conversation.
Either someone you've not met or someone that at that moment in time, you needed to take a pause.
Yes.
Because there could be two of you just not in a healthy point right now to have that relationship, but it could rekindle in the future. So, I did notice that. And I think it's, very powerful.
Yeah. So the last one is, and ultimately maybe on either side of the spectrum, is that you change, right? So I think this is the biggest takeaway, that you are no longer carrying that resentment that may come with having that conversation, that you may no longer are replaying that imaginary conversation in your head. So
that makes me think of Drop Dead Fred.
I don't know what that is.
Have you not seen that movie?
No.
Okay, so just the imaginary conversation. So I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Drop Dead Fred, but it's Rick Mayall and Phoebe Cates.
Okay.
And he is her imaginary friend.
Okay.
And he annoys her, but also has loads of fun, through her childhood. And then he appears again when she needs him in her adult life.
Yes.
But instead of him being this wonderful, oh, you're my imaginary friend, now he's like, will you just go away? You're rude or inappropriate. And it is hilarious.
Yes.
But that just made me think about those replaying imaginary conversations in your head.
Because we all do it. Yeah. We all do it, right?
Yeah. She just has Drop Dead Fred.
Right.
To do it with.
To bring it to life. Yes. Yeah. So you could no longer be shrinking yourself to keep feeling that, that lack of comfortableness, so that could happen. And instead you spoke honestly, and there's just a lot of freedom in that, right? Just to get that off your chest. So we don't realize sometimes the baggage that comes with holding all of that.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
So I want to add some beautiful insight from Brené Brown. So I know how much we love her.
Yes, we talk about her a lot.
She reminds us that vulnerability isn't about winning or controlling an outcome. It's about showing up with courage despite uncertainty. And in her book, Daring Greatly, she writes, vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome.
Yeah. Oh, see, I love that. Yeah, just being that strong, right? And that perfectly captures everything we've talked about and why difficult conversations matter, right?
Yeah.
We can't control how someone feels or how they're going to respond, but we can control whether we show up with honesty, empathy, and courage.
Yeah. I think it just goes back to that being human factor again, doesn't it? It's so important just to be human.
Yes.
And unfortunately, you can't control if someone else is okay with you being human.
Right.
But life is short.
Yep. And some conversations are worth being had. So
they are.
Yeah.
So maybe today's conversation isn't really about communication. Maybe it's about courage. Because every difficult conversation begins with a choice. Stay comfortable or be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough one to decipher some days. And here's something that we both learned in preparation for this conversation with you guys today, is that the conversation that you keep postponing in life is probably one that changes everything, right? So that conversation is changing everything. I mean, that really has a lot of weight to it. And it's not because it guarantees the outcome that you want. It's because speaking your truth with kindness can change you.
Yeah. And not just you, I suppose. It can have that spill-on effect, right? So it has the knock-on effect of impacting those you're talking to about it, helping give them different perspective. Maybe it's not good perspective. Maybe they're like, actually, I'm done. But maybe that's where things were supposed to go,
right? And do it for yourself, and or do it for the people that you care about most, that you're setting an example for. Like for us, it's our kids. Like if there's something that's challenging, we wouldn't sit back and say, oh, just suck it up to our kids. We'd be like, go tell them how you really
Yeah.
feel. If this is affecting you, then say it. So
Yeah.
we talk about this a lot. We're very guilty of giving other people great advice, but we don't take our own.
Yeah. And in that situation, I always challenge people to say, what if a friend came to you and said that? What would you say to them?
Right.
And I can guarantee you 9 out of 10 people would be like, well, just say the truth. Just
Right.
be honest. You know, it's like, it's just that different perspective,
Yeah,
isn't
for
it?
sure. Yep.
So this week we have got a challenge for you. We want you to ask yourself, what conversation have you been avoiding? If you can, grab some paper and write down why. What's the best possible outcome? What's the first sentence? And then guess what? Have the conversation.
Yeah, be bold, have the conversation. So if today's conversation encouraged you, challenged you, or reminded you of someone who needs to hear it, we'd love for you to share this episode. So follow Unravel and Uplift. Please leave us a 5-star review. It really helps us get the word out. Join us next week as we continue unraveling, life's biggest questions or quandaries. And then we'll uplift one another with practical wisdom, meeting conversations, and a little more courage. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next week, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.